Hello and welcome to Pompey Talk in partnership with Jan Leap. My name is Mark McMahon and joining me in the studio today to discuss Pompey's 2-1 victory against Leyton Orient is new sports writer Jordan Cross. Jordy, welcome.
Hello, Mark.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
I'm glad you found time in your busy schedule
Thank you.
to arrive. I've been sitting here waiting on you for ages.
Yeah.
Important win for Pompey on Saturday for a whole manner of reasons.
Yeah. Firstly, to stop the rot, wasn't it? Well, not the defeat at Doncaster and get back to winning ways. But most importantly for me, it would really be to turn up the heat on the top three. The victory, I mean, against what was a poor Orient team, let's be fair, makes it 2 points. Carlisle are kind of looking a bit ropey at the moment. They're kind of rocking somewhat. They've had a 3-1 and a 4-1 defeat and then a draw at the weekend. Yeah. And Pompey really need to now capitalise on when these teams drop the ball. So yeah, it's 2 points to them, and that's fundamentally, in terms of result, what's important now. And at Pompey, even if Paul Cook doesn't believe it, and we've done a couple of stories to that effect, he doesn't necessarily believe they need to get on a winning run per se. I think you probably do. Yeah. I mean, all the teams that succeed, the Bristol Rovers, the Northamptons in particular was an extreme example. That fantastic run they had last season. Even AFC Wimbledon stuck a run together to sneak in the playoffs and eventually go up. 9 teams out of 10 normally do that. Paul Cook's looking at the 80-point total, something we're picking up on in the newspaper tomorrow and at portsmouth.co.uk. So that's what it's all about, really. In terms of, I'm sure we'll go into it, the way it played out, it was important for a couple of other reasons, wasn't it? The formation and Connor Chaplin.
Well, we'll delve into that there in a bit, but it was a win after all. 2-1. Leyton Orient struggling. Yeah. It's not the performance that really counts, it's the result. And Leyton Orient made life very hard for Pompey during the game.
I've never seen anything like it at one stage in the first half. I know we go back to it and Paul Cook again constantly referring to the fact that it's kind of anti-football from teams and they come here and park the bus. But there was one moment I looked up about 20 minutes in and there was a barricade, a scarlet barricade of 7 defenders, 7 players strung out in a line in front of the 18-yard box. I couldn't believe it. I was just pointing it out to everyone. Look. And in front of them was, I think Sammy Moore was supposed to be sat in front, but he was kind of part of that line. And then there was Garner and Collins, and then sort of 40 yards up the other way, 50 yards was Paul McCallum kind of standing around with his hands on his hips. Incredible, but just indicative of what Pompey faced. Having said that, Pompey carved out a stack of opportunities, 18 chances across the 19 minutes to, I think the stats said that Orient had 3 shots on goal, but I can only really remember one, the goal.
The goal they scored with, yeah.
So yeah, Pompey should have won by more. We were saying again, and it's a Pompey's fans' lot to say this when it does happen. This is going to come back and bite us on the backside, and we don't put one of these chances away. Lo and behold, then it comes back from Massey gets the goal, and that's a learning lesson for profligacy like that from Pompey. If you don't take those chances, you will get punished. Yeah,
well, as if Paul Cook anticipated Leyton Orient's tactics by parking the bus with the 4-4-2 formation. How did you think it did? It did work out for Pompey playing that style.
Yeah, I mean, the point that Paul Cook made was the fact that it wasn't the way that Orient set up was. It was kind of like 3 central defenders and wing backs, but wing backs that didn't go anywhere. Yeah. So it was effectively 5 across. Then they had Moore and then Garner and Collins in front of him. So there was no width to them at all. So he was like, I can get to 4-4-2 easier in his mind. And indeed have in the second half Jamal Lowe and an attacking player playing right back when Evans goes off in Cole Baker. With those, nothing out wide from Orient, he was confident he could employ that approach. How did it go for me? I just, with 2 players up front, there's that extra presence. There's a school of thought, and I know 1 or 2 people around the club have thought that perhaps you can get wing backs might get you there a bit easier, and handling the problems that other teams present now. I think that could probably work. But Paul Cook went with it during the week. Looked at a couple of different options. I think he looked at Noel Hunt and Chaplin. But I mean, Connor showed what he was there for. Great sort of resolve to bounce back on it. 5 penalties missed now this season.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
3 on it's incredible goal. So yeah, something to look at there. But to bounce back and show the strength of character within 60 seconds to stick the ball in the back of the net. Didn't sway his confidence, or he didn't have his mind wander. He was kind of looking for the next opportunity straight away, and that's the hallmark of a predator.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about Paul Cook's comments in a second, but obviously Chaplin started up front with Smith. How did you see that partnership developing during the game?
Yeah, we all know that Michael Smith's taking a bit of flack at the moment. Some comments that are really beyond the pale, quite disgusting in fact, on social media that is.
Yeah.
And you can feel it, you can feel the fact that the lad's lacking in confidence. And there was a moment where he's kind of trying to get the ball and he's trying to turn, he's taking a touch, and then the moment passes, and that's indicative of a player that's, you know, taking a dent to his self-belief really. But what didn't help, and it was natural in a way, that there was a real audible anger or just frustration when it was happening, and you can hear the noise levels of fans turning to like, come on, you know, be more direct and take your opportunity. So that's an issue. But all concerned, Michael Smith, you know, if you're going to put someone up there alongside him, it's going to help him a lot more. Was a couple of examples. And it's my bugbear with Michael Smith that he doesn't attack the near, you know, when the ball comes in, he doesn't attack it, particularly at the near post against Doncaster. There was one example of that in the game, and he really needs to work on that. But yeah, all told, I think there was reason to be cheerful in the fact that you got Connor up there with a second body, and Pompey fans are certainly cheerful about that. The one sort of black mark for them, if they think 4-4-2 is going to be there all the time, don't get carried away. Paul Cook's saying it's horses for courses. He's going to tinker with it. He tried it at Newport because of a heavy pitch. He was going to go more direct, and he thinks that's the way to play when you know having two bodies up there as opposed to one if you're going to hit longer balls. And there was elements of that on Saturday. So if Pompey fans, you know, they want 4-4-2 here and they want it here to stay, it might not be the case.
Okay, well, Chaplin obviously is the main talking point from the game on Saturday, and Paul Cook afterwards described him as the best finisher outside the Premier League.
Yeah,
what do you think of those comments?
Yeah, interesting, because we asked to speak to Chaplin after the game. As you know, he's two-goal man. Jamal Lowe, we wanted to chat to on his debut, and we were refused access to Connor. Now, that didn't surprise me, because you think that he's the man in the limelight at the moment. We would naturally ask questions about, you know, the January transfer window. Does he want to be around it? Would he expect to move on or not? And Connor's, you know, he's a level-headed lad. He'd probably give the right answers to that, in all honesty. But then, so they're trying to keep a lid on that thing. And then Paul Cook comes out and says he's the best marksman outside the Premier League. So he kind of, then that creates its own headlines, doesn't it? I haven't looked at the comments, but I bet there's a fair few people that think that that's Paul Cook talking him up and trying to put a few quid on the price tag. Yeah. I think that's just Paul Cook talking honestly. In fact, he's just a natural enthusiast, Paul, when you speak to him. He's trying to close ranks somewhat and talk a lot less and try and limit what he's saying. And he came into the press conference, said that, I'm just going to speak a bit about the game and off I go. 10 minutes later, he's still there waffling away, and just, the enthusiasm comes to the surface, and that's what's come out there, and that's what led to those headlines. Whether he's the best marksman outside the Premier League, I expect there's one or two players elsewhere that would have something to say about that, but he's not far off at the sentiment that he is. He's a natural-born assassin in that way around the box, and Cal Naismith picks up on it again tomorrow in the paper, and I expect maybe a bit more reflection on that. He just thinks he's a pleasure to play with, and he gets the rewards of just being a tireless worker in training. His desire to be a better marksman and improve on that is there for the players to see. They're keen for him to stay. They think it's natural that there's going to be other suitors around for Connor. But they're hopeful that, they know he's happy here because they work with him, and they're hopeful that he'll stay.
Well, we all know there has been interest in Chaplin over this past season or two.
Yeah.
Are those types of comments going to increase that interest in him and make it tougher for Pompey to hold on to him in January?
I think it puts him into the consciousness of fans,
around the country. Yeah,
more so. Will it increase interest? I'm not so sure it does really. I think people nowadays, the game's watched by sort of scouts all over the place, and people have got to do their due diligence on young up and coming players. You see it all the time, don't you? Like players stepping up. I mean, look at Adam Webster. They're destined for the Premier League. We hear now. That wasn't Paul Cook talking him up in public. That was people watching him and making their own decisions, and it's the same with Connor. He's watched by a number of clubs. I bet when you we're speaking to Mark Chaplin previously, and when they get the applications for clubs for scouts tickets, there's always a a healthy uptake at Pompey. So yeah, that's just a consequence of that.
Okay, well if Pompey do keep him, it's going to be fantastic news. Bearing in mind
Got to
what's
play
at
him though.
stake. Yeah, need to play him as well. Yeah. If he does stay at Pompey, does that mean that Paul Cook's no longer looking for a striker in this January transfer window?
No. I think no. He will still be looking for someone he sees kind of as a poacher. The player he's looking for, he's wanting a handful, he said, his description. And when he means that, I think he means a more physical presence, not necessarily a 6'4" type, but just someone that's strong, can give defenders hassle. And I think they had Curtis Main earmarked as that man in the summer. I mean, they looked around for targets like Novak as well, that didn't come off. But Main obviously spent most of the time in the injury treatment room now, and that's disappointed Paul Cook and his coaching team. So they're looking for that kind of player. So I would say it would be supplementary to that. But yeah, again, most fans will be looking at it and saying, well, we want Connor to play. He hasn't started for 8 games. He's still the club's top, joint top goal scorer on 7 goals.
7, yep.
With I think probably about 10 or 12 starts. So they'll be wanting to see more of that. But it just gets Paul Cook closer to different formations. You never know what might happen with Michael Smith. Paul Cook will always come out and publicly back his man. He's got to back his players, but behind the scenes there might be other things at play, isn't it? They've got to kind of back a player that's not so confident at the moment. But maybe a few months ago or a couple of months ago, Paul Cook might have been looking at how he can sort of move things around. And that certainly is the striker is what he's looking at. That's for sure, and that would be regardless of whether Connor Chaplin stays at Pompey.
Well, one guy who can't play up front is Jamal Lowe. He's been a January transfer window signing. Come on, the second half, how do you think he did in his first appearance?
Yeah, fine. It didn't tear up any trees, if I'm honest, but was direct, pacey, slotted in on the right-hand side quite nicely. I think there was a couple of sort of cameo touches really for supporters to sort of get a taste of him, and chatting to the lad, he's just delighted to be there. He's been waiting since October time, hasn't he, when the deal was announced, and he's here now, and quite interesting to chat to him. And time and again, supporters have seen Jamal Lowe as a striker. He's not that player. He's not going to be an out-and-out marksman. He sees himself as someone who can play in a 4-2-3-1 in that 3 behind on the right side. Or he can push play up front. I mean, he described himself as the John O'Shea of attacking players, which I thought quite amusing. It kind of conjured what he was all about quite nicely there. Yeah. So he says he can slot into those roles, but not fundamentally a number 9, that's for sure. But you just look at his goal record, and it's easy to come to that conclusion, isn't it? Hampton and Richmond, but no, he's settled in well. Got a quick look at him in training last week. Looks comfortable. He speaks to the other lads. They say he's slotted into the sort of fabric of the dressing room quite nicely. Seems a good lad. Just delighted that he's been given the opportunity. Blown away as they tend to be by the atmosphere, which was okay. For me on Saturday, just okay. But he was mesmerised by it. And he's going to have a lot to offer. It seems. I thought he was going to be one that was just you wouldn't see too much of him at all. But the fact that Cookie got him on, I mean, probably some psychology at work there, 'cause he knows there's an anticipation. He was looking for a lift, maybe for the crowd and for the reasons we went into earlier about how Orient set up. But no, there was promise there, and probably more importantly, it's the promise that the players have seen from him in training. They talk very positively of Jamal Lowe, so that's certainly encouraging. Okay, lastly then, January transfer window. I think there's 2 weeks left, slightly over. Yeah. Are we expecting any other business? Well, we've had this sort of speculations. No real strong names have come up at the moment. There's bits and bobs. Jay O'Shea gets a mention all the time, doesn't he? He came up again. I think Sheffield United were looking sort of strongly in favourites for him if he was to be on his way. So there's going to be tinkering. People will look at the right back situation, don't they, and think about how that's going to pan out. So there's going to have to be manoeuvrability in the budget. So don't be surprised if players go out the door. Curtis Main, I mean, what's going to happen with him? John Sheridan now back at Oldham. Where they're struggling too at the moment. Yeah, Oldham. So they need, I mean, it wouldn't have been so likely, but I guess with him going there, we might revisit that one. Obviously, Curtis has got to get himself fit at the moment. I'm not quite sure. Week on week, we're told he's in the treatment room. It's very curt from Paul Cook really talks about him, so you can draw your own conclusions from that. So yeah, just watch this space really. I mean, there's all sorts of names come up, isn't there? There was a goalkeeper last week that ended off going to Doncaster.
Right back.
The lad at Brighton and the lad from Sligo as well, the right back. Not much in that one, I don't believe. So yeah, of course, what would say Paul Cook looking at, said, well, I don't know if he said it on the record or off. I can't remember.
Be careful now
get
what you
myself into
say.
trouble here, but yeah, there's talk of a right back, isn't there, which has been perplexing for some people, given that we've got a couple there. But you might see, some movement around that area.
Okay. Well, thanks again for your
Didn't
thoughts.
drop myself in it there, did I?
You did. And for once, it wasn't me. So we'll stop it there. Thanks, Jordy.
Cheers.
You'll be watching Pompey Talk in partnership with Jan Leap. We'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.